Hey, it's Nina with Walla Stamping. I have a project to share with you out of the brand new holiday catalog. And I am so excited about all of the products in this catalog for the holidays and the fall season, and you are going to love it too. Now, unfortunately, this is all that I can show you at this point in time is the cover, but as you can see just from the cover, there are going to be some really awesome products that you are going to want to have. So this is the card that I'm going to be sharing with you, and the stamp set that I used to create this is called Count My Blessings. Now I know that this is mostly a floral type of a stamp set, but I really like the two sentiments, and I chose to make this card a little more manly, so I chose the leaves and the acorns, but then I also used this little leaf pattern right here. I feel like this leaf pattern can be very versatile. Let me get it a little bit closer and hopefully you can see, because there's little dots inside the leaves, which I think could make it cutesy, but the way that I'm using this stamp set today makes it more masculine. So I do have a kit. To enter to win the kit for this card, all you have to do is go over to my blog at wallastamping.com, find the post for this project, leave a comment, and your name will go into the drawing to win this kit. So what you're going to need to make this card is a piece of crumb cake that's 8.5 by 5.5. We're going to score it at 4 1/4, fold and burnish. And I'm actually going to make this card today just slightly different from this one. This one I just did the chocolate chip background and then the watercolor paper and then my sentiment, but I'm going to do a little more layering on the one today. So we have our crumb cake. We've got a piece of chocolate chip that's 5 1/4 by 4. We have a piece of watercolor paper that's 5 by 3 3/4. Then we have a couple of pieces of other paper. This is Whisper White and our gold foil sheet. Both of these are 3.5 by 3.5. So what I think I'll do first is my stamping and my watercoloring. So I'm going to grab my watercolor paper first. And the inks that I'm going to be using to stamp my sentiment, I'm going to use the Basic Black Archival ink. Then for the pine cones, I'm going to be using Crumb Cake, Early Espresso, and Smoky Slate. And then for the leaves around the pine cones, I'm going to use Old Olive and Always Artichoke. So I have my aqua painter, and I've got a little bit of water in there. I could probably use a little bit more, but this will be enough to do what I'm going to do. So I'm going to take this little leaf stamp right here, and I'm going to put it on a block C. I'm going to start out with my crumb cake ink. What I'm going to do is ink that up, and I'm just going to randomly stamp all over my watercolor paper, and I am going to be turning the stamp in different directions and just making a background pattern. Next, I'm going to be using my embossing buddy and my Versamark. So I like to tap my embossing buddy, I call that a little pillow, onto my paper to make sure that I'm getting some of that powder out of there. And then since I've inked all over this, I want to put quite a bit of this embossing buddy powder down so that my embossing powder does not stick to any of that. So get my Versamark open, and yes, it looks dirty, but it's just because my pad is stained from accidentally getting ink in it or whatnot. So I'm going to ink up the acorn stamp, and since I'm going to have my sentiment in the center, primarily I'm going to stamp all of these out around the edges more, because if I do one in the center, it's going to be covered up. And I'm not keeping them all straight up and down. I'm turning them at different angles. And I am going to stamp probably about 6 of these around the perimeter pretty much. All right, now I'm going to grab my copper embossing powder, and I know you cannot see where any of that is stamped with that Versamark because it is a clear ink, but once I get my, did I say embossing powder? I know you can't see where I put the Versamark ink. I don't know what I just said, but once I get the embossing powder on there, it's magic. You can see the stamps all of a sudden. I wish that I had a spoon to do this with instead of the method that I am doing it with right now, but in the move somewhere I lost the little plastic spoon that I would use to do this with. Then I'm going to get my heat tool, heat it up, and go ahead and get this embossed. So I'm going to start out with my crumb cake and lay down some color. Then I'm going to move on to my chocolate chip and then my smoky slate. And I'm going to speed this up so that you can see the whole painting process, but it's not going to take a long time. Moving on to the leaves, I'm going to start out with my old olive and then do some shading with my Always Artichoke. And the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to shade in the top part of the acorns with my smoky slate. Now I have everything colored in, and I just went back finally with a small little bit of my basic black, and I just came in where natural shadows would occur from the curvature of each piece, and I imagine that my source of light is coming down from the top basically. So all of that is colored in. Now what I'm going to do is, well, let me move some ink and things out of the way first so that I can have a little bit neater working space. So I've got all that there. Where is my, there we go. Here's my Whisper White. So to stamp that with, I'm going to use my basic black. And I've chosen the sentiment that says, when I count my blessings, you are at the top of my list. I think that, of course, Father's Day is a long ways off, and as I look out my window it's raining. Yay, my grass was very thirsty. This would be great for a Father's Day gift, or a Father's Day card rather. I think that it would also be appropriate for a birthday or an anniversary or any type of event where you would give a card to a male. Alright, so now that I've got all that done, I'm going to bring over my Big Shot. I'm going to be using my Layering Squares Framelit dies, and the two sizes I'm going to use is the second from the largest and the third from the largest. So I'm going to take my sentiment here, take the third from the largest and line that up around the outside. Let me get my light turned a little bit better here, so hopefully you can see more clearly. Alright, so now I've got that lined up, and I like to turn my square framelits on a little bit of an angle. It passes through the big shot so much easier. I'm going to take my gold foil sheet and put the second from the largest on that one, and then just get that run through. I'm just going to put some fast fuse adhesive on the back of mine. You can use snail, or you could even use liquid glue if you prefer. But I have my fast fuse handy, so that's what I'm going to be using. While I've got that out, I might as well go ahead and get the rest of my card put together. I like them both, but I kind of like the additional color of the crumb cake, which I also used in those acorns. Now to put my little sentiment on there, I'm going to use dimensionals, of course. You know that I love my projects to have dimension to them. Then I'm just going to stick that right in the very center. So here we go. This is the one that I just made. Added a couple extra layers. This is the first one that I made. I really like how both of them turned out. I love the fall colors and just that beautiful hand-stamped, hand-painted background. Wouldn't you love to present this card to someone and just let them know how much you care about them, that you took the time to hand stamp and hand paint a card for them? So I'm going to have links to all of the products that I used in this project. It'll be in the description box, which is below this video. So if there's anything that you need to create this, everything will be down there so you will know. However, I will tell you that the stamp set is not available until September 1st. But if you have a wish list, go ahead and put this one on there. You're going to love it. Also, go on over to my blog at wallastamping.com. I'll have a PDF that is downloadable and printable over there for you. It'll have a list of the supplies there also with all the directions on the instruction sheet. I'll give you dimensions and everything. So you're going to have a lot of information to look over there on my blog as well. I'll have some additional pictures. And thank you for stopping by today. I hope that you enjoyed this project, and if you did, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss any of my paper crafting tutorials. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.